Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and as I have tended to do with each brand new season that is soon to be starting of anime, I always like to do a sort of announcement video showcasing all of the titles that have really grabbed my, interest, sparked my interest, got me compelled to want to check them out. Now, let me get it out of the way right away and say this is not a guarantee for review coverage of any of these particular titles that will be beginning in the spring 2017 season that is soon to be upon us. This is strictly, these are all the ones looking at the listings of upcoming anime that have sparked my interest to varying degrees. And it's really going to be dependent upon how I feel after watching each of the first episodes as to whether I come on, do a video, if I'm compelled to, if I have a passion toward it, if I really want to share something, share my emotions, what I felt while watching it. Only then will I actually be able to know whether or not I'm going to actually cover any of it. And if I lose interest along the way, of course, I will end up doing a video expressing that, so you know not to look for any more coverage of a given series if I picked it up and I lost interest. But really, as is always the case with me, I really have to be in the moment. I really have to watch an episode, gauge how I'm feeling about it. If it really excites me and I really have a drive to come on and talk about it, that's very much what keeps me reviewing the shows I do review and such like that. I love having the conversation with you guys, so be sure to let me know in the comments below any of the upcoming anime for the spring 2017 season that you have interest in, whether it's on this particular list of my own or not, because I love, sort of the added guidance of knowing, well, hey, this could be a really conversational show. If I end up picking it up, if I end up feeling like I want to, and have that passion and that drive, if I know we're going to have the added sort of perk of having a discussion back and forth about it every week, that'll even drive me that much more to be excited about a given series. So this is not going to be all that in depth of a listing review, if you will, for the upcoming anime for spring 2017. I'm just kind of going to give you the nutshell version. It's a few days ago that I actually compiled this list and looked at all the PVs and read all the synopses and looked at character art. So some of these, I don't even remember what sparked my initial interest in them, but I kept them on the list anyway. I don't remember what certain shows are about. I have some, vague impressions on some of them, and, it again, to varying degrees. There are ones I'm really chomping at the bit for, really excited about. But again, even for those, it's going to remain to be seen until I see the episodes and how I feel after them, whether or not I'm going to pick them up for review coverage, whether, just a first impressions video, or continue concurrently every week. So without further ado, let's get to the listing as I have it. These are going to be all the ones that struck me, with some level of interest to varying degrees, as I say. The first one is actually a holdover from this previous season, Little Witch Academia. I've been watching it since the first episode. I think it's a really heartwarming, endearing, and somewhat comical series. It's made me laugh time and time again. Never has it been a series that I felt after each and every episode I would want to come on. I would basically just be recapping what happened. With few exceptions, there have been a few episodes, a few moments that really captured my heart or made me laugh and impressed me that I would subsequently go over to my Facebook page and post about there, because I didn't want to have to dedicate a whole video, of review coverage that I didn't feel I could really put anything about how I was feeling or the thoughts I had or speculations, things of that sort. So it's definitely going to be one I continue to watch, but I will probably not be at any time talking about it in videos or anything like that. If you want to friend me over on Facebook, I post all the time over there about any given anime episodes whenever I'm really sort of compelled to. And usually it'll be a nutshell thing. Sometimes I'll post images, sometimes I'll, post my thoughts during a scene or what I loved about a particular episode. But it's really a very much condensed version because that's really all I have to say about it any given time for any given show. So Little Witch Academia continues. I will be continuing to watch it. Getting into the thorough brand new listings for spring 2017, the first out of the gate is one I'm thoroughly excited for. That is Shingeki no Kyojin Season 2, Attack on Titan Season 2. I watched the entire first season, and it was really an interesting thing because at the time the first season started airing, I didn't get into it immediately. I had many people coming onto my videos at the time and saying, you should really check this out, giving me the highest esteem of recommendations for it. And so what I ended up doing was I ended up actually covering it in reviews, but I did it in sort of 4 chapters, I think it was. Like the first 6 episodes was the first discussion video, and then the next 6 episodes, and such like that. I followed it all the way through to that end, watching a small handful of episodes and then discussing them all told in a video, all the way up to the conclusion of the first season. I've never watched any of the supplemental materials, whether the comedy series with the little chibi characters, if I remember correctly, or any of the movies or anything like that. I've strictly only ever watched the first season. And so I'm going to be really highly curious to see what Eren and all the other characters have gotten up to, is, becoming a Titan of his own accord. Spoiler warning if you haven't seen it. I'm really stoked to check it out and see where the story goes without any of the gristle and the fat that, some of the other series have provided, from what I understand. Strictly speaking, as I say, I watched the first season. I really became enamored with it and compelled by it. And very similarly with the second season, I want to see where it goes. I don't know whether I'll be compelled to actually talk about it in video coverage. We will see. Next on my list is Grand Blue Fantasy, the animation, which is a very sort of RPG genre-esque anime series. It kind of, was cut from the same cloth impressions-wise to me as like Chain Chronicle, and which is currently airing as of the time of this recording, soon to be finishing. I love anime that takes on that RPG sort of aesthetic. You think of Sword Art Online, you think of Dot Hack and things of that nature. Some of them are thoroughly not winners. There have been shows that conform to that genre, that trope in anime, and I just did not like them at all. In fact, I covered a series that was very much cut from the same cloth that I could not stand. The name of which escapes me, but Grand Blue Fantasy, I watched the first 2 episodes of this a couple months ago. They were, released preliminarily, and with a promise of, around April would be when the official start begins and everything. I was impressed with those first 2 episodes. I had thought at the time it was actually starting back then already, so I was somewhat shocked and dismayed that, no, it's actually months away, But I was impressed with what I saw. I really liked the aesthetic. I liked the character designs. I love the RPG world, kind of feel the vibe, that particular genre in anime. So I'm really stoked to check that out. Next on the list is a comedy series. For all intents and purposes, that's the impression I get in any case. Alice and Zuroku, which is about this little girl who I guess becomes the adoptive daughter/granddaughter of this elderly old grandfatherly guy. And as my sister said, I hope that's all that's going on. But it seems very Odd Couple-esque. It seems like the hijinks that ensue between them might be very funny, might be endearing, and things of that nature. Don't really know much else about it. Don't remember much else about the PV and anything like that. But it looks potentially heartwarming and funny, so I want to check it out. Next on the list is a show called Sakurada Reset, which, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe this is one about a bunch of people who have various kind of supernatural powers. I don't remember what the synopsis was off the top of my head, how they have the powers or anything like that. It seemed like a very sort of science fiction-y kind of thing, and that really perked my interest. I'm a science fiction fan. Similarly, next on the list, Clockwork Planet is kind of cut from the same cloth. I think it's going to be a mecha science fiction-y series. We'll be really interested to check both of those out and see if they're any good, what impression it leaves me with, things of that sort. They kind of remind me of Galilei Donna, which I covered in episodic reviews. It really endeared me and compelled me to want to talk about it. And, either one of these shows might be the same kind of thing, where I'll watch it, I'll get really excited about talking about it. We shall see. Next on the list is a show called Renai Bukun, or Bokun, and I literally remember nothing about the PV I saw for this, or the synopsis I read for it. I just know I was interested in it for some reason at the time, if I even saw a PV. There's at least one on this list that I don't think there was a PV for at the time. Following on from there is the second on the list that is almost a sure, shoe in the door for actual review coverage, and that is Shingeki no Bahamut Virgin Souls. Season 2, I think, for all intents and purposes, of Shingeki no Bahamut Genesis, which I covered entirely in episodic review coverage. I loved that series. It kind of had an RPG-esque aesthetic to it, stylized, story-wise, everything like that. It had, characters that kind of reminded me of Mugen and Jean from Samurai Champloo, which is another show that I love, have a passion for and everything. And it just was really interesting and cool and kooky. And so I'm really kind of curious, because it looks like the main character featured in all the PVs so far, she looks almost like she could be the daughter of one of those characters and the sort of goddess. If you know anything about that particular series, I won't get into depth too far. But it just really, it harkens back such great memories of watching that first season. I think there was a spin-off show, which is why I'm tentative about it being a season 2. Whether it is or not, I'm not wholeheartedly sure, because I think there was a spin-off series. I never saw it. I never watched it. Never seemed to find it. I might, look for it at some point. I don't even remember what it was called. But it seemed as though it was a spin-off Shingeki no Bahamut something, and I loved that first season. I'm going to hopefully love this, second pseudo continuation, whatever it is. I think it says it's like 13 years after the first one, 10 or 13 years. And, so it's high on my list for potential review coverage. Definitely going to be watching it, whether I review it or not. And next on the list is a show called Recreators, which kind of falls in line with the Sekarada Reset and Clockwork Planet, in that I remember it kind of had a science fiction-y feel, another show about people with supernatural powers, if I'm not even confusing them. Again, it was days ago I saw the PV and read the synopsis. For whatever reason, it sparked my interest. It's on the list. Next is a show called Zero Kara Hajimaru Maho no Sho. I know I read something about this one. I think maybe it kind of has an RPG aesthetic to it. I don't really remember. Again, days ago, that actually, I probably could have looked at it before recording this video, but, I figured, fuck it. I made the list. It's on the list. I'm going to check it out. If it's any good, I'll be back to talk about it. If not, who knows. Next on the list, and second to last, is Sword Oratoria, which is... Now, here's the thing. I'm not exactly sure if this is a prequel to Danmachi, which I loved. I covered in episodic reviews. I absolutely loved that show. Hestia, Belcranel, all that kind of stuff. I had built a big-time following at the time, constantly having great conversations in the comments back and forth for every episode. And this one seems to be... I don't know, again, whether it's a sequel series or more likely, I've gotten the impression that it's kind of like a prequel, but it's basically going to be the story coinciding with that first season of Danmachi, but from a different point of view, from the point of view of Ais Wallenstein. And that is highly intriguing to me. I'm really curious to see how exactly it plays out, whether it goes back in the past before Ais would encounter Bel and Hestia and everything like that, or, if it's coinciding her adventures while Bel's having his adventures in that first season of Danmachi. I don't really know, but I'm super stoked for it. It is at least the second on the list, third if I, count Attack on Titan Season 2 with Shingeki no Bahamut Virgin Soul. It's the third on my list that's almost a shoo-in guarantee for coverage, because I'm that effing excited about it. And finally is the show Sin Nanatsu no Taizai. And this is another one I don't remember a fucking thing about. I don't remember what sparked my interest, what they showed in the PV, what the synopsis was. It just struck me as being intriguing looking. And for any of the ones I don't remember, it, for one reason or another, it just struck me as being intriguing. And so that is my list, tentatively, of shows that I have any remote interest in, to really highfalutin excitement to want to check out. Again, just in a nutshell, those are continuing Little Witch Academia, Shingeki no Kyojin Season 2, Grand Blue Fantasy, the animation, Alice and Zuroku, Sagrada Reset, Clockwork Planet, Renai Bokun, Shingeki no Bahamut Virgin Soul, Recreators, Zero Kara Hajimaru Maho no Sho, Sword Oratoria, and Sin Nanatsu no Taizai. And if any of those have also caught your interest, have piqued your curiosity, have got your excitement up, let me know in the comments below. You know, again, it won't influence whether or not I want to pick up a show, but it'll be an added perk if I end up having that, you know, passion toward any of these and really want to come on, and I'm so compelled to want to talk about, to know that maybe a bunch of you guys and gals will be interested in it and want to have conversations about it. That'll be, you know, just an added excitement to whatever excitement I'll already have for any of these, depending on whether I, you know, choose to cover them or not. And again, just a reminder, if I end up doing first impressions videos, this also does not guarantee episodic coverage. After the first episodes of any of these that I decide to do a first impressions video on, it will then fall back to the second episode as to whether or not I have the interest, whether I'm compelled, whether I am excited, and really want to talk about them for me to actually pick it up from then on. So, yeah, again, let me know in the comments below what you're looking forward to in the spring 2017 season of anime. If any of your interests do not conform to this list, and you know, omit for my sake any shows other than Little Witch Academia that are continuing, that are season 2s of anything I haven't already mentioned, again with like you know, Attack on Titan season 2 and you know, Shingeki no Bahamut Virgin Soul, Sword Oratoria. These are semi-continuations. Those are the only ones I have any interest in. If I didn't mention it on this list, any season 2s, 3s, whatever continuations, chances are I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. I'm not going to be talking about it. I'm not going to be watching it. So, you know, save time from mentioning any of that stuff. But anything else you have interest in, whether it's on this particular list or not, I'd love to hear about it. You know, even if it's not something I necessarily will gravitate toward or get into, I love sharing the excitement we all have for anime. You know, different strokes for different folks, all that kind of stuff. You know, to each their own in a bag of chips, as I always say. I just love anime. I love watching it. I love talking about it with you guys. And, you know, we are all together on this planet to enjoy the hell out of this shit. And so, yeah, bring it on in the spring 2017 season. That'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well. And I'll catch you all later. Peace.